Are you looking for the perfect rehydration drink to support your active lifestyle? Well, my friends, look no further than Hoist. Hoist is there for you whether you're going to use it pre-workout, in the middle of your workout in between sets, after workout, maybe if you're traveling, if you feel that dehydration headache sneaking up on you, or maybe if you just had a late night the night before and you need to reset and get back after it. With 3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks with half the sugar and no high fructose corn syrup, no artificial preservatives, sweeteners, or dyes, Hoist is BPA free, it's kosher, and most importantly, it's made in the USA, baby. We all use Hoist, and I can't speak highly of it enough. Whether I'm doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I'm out doing tactical operations, or I'm in the gym trying to make sure that I'm harder to kill, Hoist is always there to support me. With 5 delicious flavors you can pick up at your local grocery store or gas station. I love the dragon fruit, but you can try the orange, watermelon, peach mango, or strawberry lemonade. Hoist knows that you don't do normal things, and you might be out in the wilderness on a hunt, or you might be on a long ruck. Well, they hear you, and they've also got 3 delicious powder packs that you can mix in water anytime you want it. Peach mango, grape, and that fruit punch is that hitter for those packets. So go check them out. If you need IV level hydration for your normal every day-to-day activity, or if you're trying to get after it, working 2 workouts a day, Hoist is there to support you. Go check them out.
Good morning, everybody. For us, it's morning. So if it's not morning for you, then congratulations on making it through your day. Welcome back to the One's Ready podcast. It's just Trent and Peaches today. We wanted to sit down and talk about a subject which I honestly never thought we'd talk about, mostly because I just don't think I'm grown enough to give out life advice to my peers. But we're going to talk about it anyway because we've been hearing some stuff, and we just want to share our thoughts more than tell people what to do. At least that's what I'm going to start with. And then towards the end, I'm probably going to start yelling at people and telling them what to do. Anyway, Peaches, good morning. Let's talk about parents.
Yeah, this is certainly a message to parents because, I mean, first off, parenting's hard. Both of us are parents, so we can relate. I think you've got smaller kids. You definitely have smaller kids than I do. I've got a 15-year-old daughter and an 11-year-old boy. So I think yours are quite a bit younger.
I'm a 4 and 9 right now.
All right. So we got a good spread, if you will, good swath of age groups here. So many mistakes had, many more mistakes going to happen. But Trent's got a good perspective just because, or say Trent, like I'm talking to an audience right now because nobody's watching or listening. But you have a unique perspective because you're, at Lackland, so you're seeing a lot of these folks on the front end. And one of the things, and I'm just going to dive right into it, is driver's license. I remember an email going around and a discussion going around about whether we should require new recruits to come in with driver's license because so many are not coming in now. Is that still a thing happening?
Bro, that was like a 2-year discussion. It was like the thing that wouldn't go away, which I didn't understand. Yeah, I think we figured out where we landed on it. But it's one of those things as things change and as kids are raised different and expectations are different for them for some reason, these are like as an entity that's like bringing these people in, you want to not put unnecessary roadblocks in the way for entrance, right? But also it's like we can't, you have to have it at some point. And then when does it happen? And then whose responsibility is it and who pays for it and all this other stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I don't want to go down the driver's license rabbit hole, but it took up way more of my life than I wish it had.
Well, it's a discussion that we never thought we'd have. But for those out there that I know I jumped right into it, but there are a significant percentage of recruits coming in that don't have their driver's license. And all that does is put extra burden on us at the unit because they don't have time during the pipeline to go get their driver's license. So they arrive at our units and can't drive, meaning they can't get to work. You can't take an Uber onto base. You can't take a taxi onto base because you're going to get stopped at the gate and then you got to get out and then you got to walk the rest of the way. So that's just the kind of conveniences that there are issues with. But at the same time, you can't drive any of the tactical vehicles without a driver's license. You still have to, even though you're not necessarily driving on public roads, you still have to have a driver's license and additional training to drive the tactical vehicles. So now I've got to worry about whether you can pass your driver's test. Then you got to go down to the DMV, which is always fun. And then it's just like, you have the time. You do have the time in high school or before you come in to get a driver's license. So just help yourself out. And if you can learn how to drive a manual, even better, but not required, because many of our tactical vehicles now are all automatics. But that's just the one right off the top of my head that I'm like, yeah, man. And it'd be very simple. Like, I think I'm going to go take my daughter to learn how to drive today.
Like,
I know.
So this is the last podcast that we'll ever see Peaches on ever again. Yeah. Rest in peace.
At least with this, ugly mug.
No, but like so many things, like, and it's a kind of a silly subject, right? Or it seems like it's a silly subject, but like you said, like, we sometimes when we go TDYs, at least I did, you road trip, and if you got a guy that just can't help drive, what are we even talking about, And then the manual thing, I think that's true, because if you have no experience with motorcycles or anything like that, just understanding how a manual works in your head to translate over is beneficial, and just you're saving everybody time. And
I would say not just that, like it makes tactical sense too, because I can tell you from being downrange, we operate with a lot of Land Rover Defenders and the Toyota Hiluxes, which a lot of them are manuals, right? Yep. And one time we got in a fight, like we were actually teaching a guy, one of the ODA guys, how to drive a manual. And he'd been practicing for a couple weeks or whatever, but he just didn't have, when you're doing it, when you grow up with it, it's second nature. Like, you don't even think about it, right?
Yep.
Whereas he was still kind of new to it. And we actually got in a fight, and he was the one driving. And he's just stalling it like it. And we actually got him out. I hopped into the seat and we got out of there. But like, it's
dangerous.
Learn to drive a manual if you can, if you have the ability.
Jeez. Are we going to have to start a school where it's just like life skills? This is what you need to know for life.
Well, that kind of brings me to another point, is we should be teaching people how to pay bills and budget. Like, these should be things in high school that are taught in high school. But if they're not, you should be teaching your kids how to budget. Selling them down the river to get student loans to go to college is not the right. And I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I mean, this country is, what is it, like $6-something trillion? Nah, that's way too much. It's like $1 trillion in debt just in student loans alone. Like, that's insane. So, I just like, teach them how to budget, teach them how to pay bills, teach them how to pay taxes. Like, my 15-year-old's already asked me, like, because she knows that, she knows about tax time. She's like, when are you going to teach me? I'm like, well, I actually pay somebody for that, but but that's just because I've got a confusing tax portfolio.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, for somebody who just has a job at one W-9 or one income, like, you can learn how to do it on one of the many internet, turbo whatevers.
Yeah.
No free ads. We're not giving TurboTax a free ad.
Yeah, I hate those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just filling out the forms, but like, it's a good point, but like, I remember the first time I did my taxes, I was probably 18 or 19. I just didn't do it when I was younger. I remember I went to my tax professional. I'm like, I didn't file my taxes for all these years, but I made so little money that they were just like, bro, don't worry about it. Like, they probably owe you money, so they're never going to come after you. But like, it's a good skill to have, because you don't want to find yourself in a place where the IRS is got you in the crosshairs, or that you have to, or if you just are like in a hurry and you need to do your taxes and you're 20 whatever years old, and you don't know what to do. Like, I don't know. Learning it earlier, just like everything else, is easier.
For sure. Yep.
Well,
It's important stuff, though.
I'm still thinking about driving the manuals. Remember the first time you hopped in a car that was right-wheel drive that was manual? It takes you you have to rewire your brain real quick, like your left hand. You're like, okay, okay. I mean, it's not hard, but it takes a second to get the muscle down.
Yeah, especially when you arrive, because you arrive into the UK, you're jet lagged, because it's not like you slept when you're flying cattle class over there. So you're sleep deprived, and then your buddies are like, hey, let's go downtown partying in Cambridge. Okay, let's go to Cambridge and party. Then you leave there at 1, 2 in the morning, so you're even more jet lagged. And then they're all drinking, and they're like, you got to drive home. Don't know where I'm going. Never driven a right-hand drive manual. Yeah, with a couple drunk dudes in the back.
But they did it on purpose to make sure that it set up your sleep schedule. I'm pretty sure that's what they did. They were being very, very nice about it. They're like, we just got to keep them up more so that we can get a sleep schedule on. Yeah, good dudes.
Yeah, solid all around.
No, I mean, but it's weird because I know we're going to go on the list, but there's so many things that we're going to throw at people in the military in general, that the more experiences you can get your kids before they join, and the more difficult things that they can do, the easier it's going to be on them. And not even difficult, but I think we've pulled back the bar of difficulty so much. Let them do things on their own is the bar that I'm reaching for. You want to jump in? You don't need to go to the recruiter for your kid. I don't know. It's crazy.
Is that happening?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I called this little meeting. Is apparently here's the rumor mill, right? And I know this isn't everybody, and obviously there's outliers to every situation, but there are parents going to the recruiters because their kids won't do it. But I get it if you go with your kid the first time, but there's parents going to recruiters for their children instead of their kids just going in and finding out if it's something that they want to do. So I don't know if that's just a misunderstanding of what recruiters are, or they're people that steal your children and run away in the night and they wake up in Vietnam type thing. Because that's not reality, or I don't know what's going on. But there's another thing that I want to talk about that's a situation that's way worse than that. And I'm hoping most of the people out there are laughing along with us as we talk about these situations. Just a basic do not do this list with not even your kids, your grown adult children, offspring that have joined the military.
Are you about to jump right into the list?
I don't know. It was only two things that got me all fired up.
I wanted to. Well, okay. So before you do that,
I'm sorry.
This is serious. People or parents are going for their kids to recruiters. I really didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, and you know who I talked to over in recruiting. It's a frustrating thing that they're going through where people are going for their kids and the recruiters are like, well, when does they're just
the adult?
They're creating this buffer between their children and a recruiter, which is whatever. But I get that I have a blind spot because my old man was just go see a recruiter, and he gave me some advice. He's like, hey, if you go take the test, I brought my test score back, the ASVAB, and he was like, okay, well, don't let them talk you into being a mechanic if you don't want to be a mechanic. He's like, you got scores that you don't have to do that. But he didn't go to the recruiter. He would have laughed in my face if I'm like, hey, Dad, can you come with me so that they don't I don't know.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So I wonder what that is rooted in. Is it in the I'm going to call it a misconception. Obviously, there are outliers with this. Is it under the auspice that recruiters, all they do is lie and they will do anything to get you in? Because I'm sure that that is obviously happened, or else that wouldn't be the case. And not every recruiter is a saint, just like every One's Ready member is not a saint. But
Aaron.
Yeah, Aaron.
Yeah.
But I would also consider this fact that these recruiters, you don't have all the variables, right? So what you think the recruiter may be lying to you about, because they know some other stuff that maybe you're not privy to, and so that's why they're saying what they're saying. Maybe they're not lying to you. Now, some skepticism is healthy, of course, but our numbers, not for aspect war, because our numbers are always hurting, but we're turning people away from the Air Force. We are.
Yep.
So the recruiters don't necessarily have the need or the motivation to lie to you. They don't. Like I said, that's probably not every single case, but they don't need to lie to you. But again, be skeptical. If you don't like what they're saying, then, question them on it for sure. But don't come in as mama bear and start laying into some recruiter. It's not going to work out well.
Yeah. Well, and just make sure that your kids have healthy amount of skepticism. And just, if you go to a recruiter once, you're not on a bus, especially the Air Force recruiters. They don't have the positions to put you on a bus tomorrow to ship off to basic training. So I would just be like, hey, if you have a 17-year-old kid, which is the only way that it makes sense where a parent would even be present in the office to me. But even then, it's a learning experience. Send them to the recruiter to talk to them. Just be like, don't sign any papers, and then come home and have a discussion about it, and use it as that first step into adulthood learning process where they have to go out there on their own and figure some of this out. And then if they come back with anything that's real wonky, maybe find another recruiter or walk them through that process of how to, deal with people that are not completely honest.
Also, brief them on the vultures too, really, because if you go to one of those career centers that has, all the recruiters all lined up, in that same, they're vultures looking. You pop out of the Air Force one, and as they're walking through the parking lot or walking to the car, because hopefully they have a driver's license, there's going to be an Army or Marine recruiter that's just and they're gonna come in and try and swoop them up. I'm not lying.
I know. I love those guys. I mean, the Marines almost got me, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
They sell a good game. But it's just one of those things. Because my experience with my recruiter was very straightforward. And I've told it on here before. He was not looking to recruit me. He didn't, until I took the ASVAB and the DLAB, he couldn't care less. I was nobody. I was just another scrawny 135-pound kid. So it's just weird to me. So and I get that there's a lot of different experiences out there, but I'm telling you right now in the Air Force, just like Peaches said, it's bro, we're not looking for people. We're over in strength, generally speaking, in the Air Force. The spec war guys, we're looking for people, but we want to find you, and then you have to prove that you can even get in the front door, and you have to prove yourself for the rest of your career, type of thing.
And that's for real for the rest of your career. I just got assigned to a new unit, and now everybody, and these aren't aspect war folks. These are incredible pilots and intel officers and stuff like that where I'm at. And I'm an E9, but I still got to prove myself when I get to every single day when I go in there, because I'm new and they're wondering who I am. So that is no joke.
You got to get through the butt sniffing phase. Everybody's going to look at you and figure it out. And it's funny, the older you get in your career, everybody becomes the same way. Because we've all made the mistake where we just embraced someone too early based on not enough data, and they turned out to not be the person that we thought that they were. I think everybody in the latter half of their career, there's a little more standoffish in the beginning until we all figure out who is who.
That's why I try and set expectations low right off the bat, and then all I can do is go up.
Yep. I do that.
But yeah, so recruiters have got a lot going on. They're super busy. They're super I mean, they're fielding all kinds of phone calls, text messages, emails, DMs. Like, so again, like if they're not getting back to you immediately, like that's probably normal. Now, if it's been 2 weeks, yeah, you probably want to ping them again. But if you're not hearing back within a couple of days, like that's probably okay. Like,
Yeah.
it's just they're swamped. They're out traveling, and you got to think these folks are working weekends too. Like they're going to events, and and it's hey, it sounds like fun. Hey, like cool. I get to go to a Raiders game, then I get to go to a Knights game, and then I get to go. But they're not sitting there just enjoying it, right? They're working for hours beforehand and during it, like on the weekends. So like they're busy. And I'm not trying to give a bunch of love to recruiters because screw those, screw them.
Man, they are the worst. I'm just kidding. I love you guys. Actually, well, this is a good thing. Like maybe we should how much time should you expect to take from like the moment that you actually decide to join the Air Force to shipping? Because that's like a 6 to 12 month period at least. So I think there's like some misconceptions about how fast it happens. For like a regular Air Force person, right? What is that?
Yeah.
I don't even know what's typical, but I would recommend from the first time you go speak to a recruiter, don't expect to be out the door super fast, and then you also have a say in how fast that process happens. So if it's happening too fast, you can hit the brakes. Like you don't have to sign all the paperwork and sign in and all that other stuff. So, I mean, I would recommend a 6 to 12 month period of time where that it's going to take this much time. Like, don't quit your job and walk in a recruiter's office and expect to be on a bus to basic training. That's not how it works.
It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, it ain't Vietnam. Like, you're not going to walk out of a courtroom after just assaulting somebody and end up in Marine Corps basic training. I'm not saying that we used
very specific.
We didn't used to hire criminals during. Yeah, we've all seen it.
Oh yeah,
in, like,
that's
the
right.
movies
We
and
did.
Stuff. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. Well, I totally interrupted you from your list. There was one thing that you were pretty hot and bothered by. So what is that?
Okay, so this is not something I've seen firsthand, and I just want to say though, like if this is actually happening, and I'm being told it is, if this happened once, it's too many times, and this is parents showing up at someone's first duty station for their first day of work. And for hopefully the one parent that has ever done this, I'm hoping that this is the case. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. And stop it. So like after training, you show up to work on your first day, just like kindergarten, and your like mom comes with you to make sure that you're taken care of on your first day of work. I'm trying not to be real judgy about it, but I don't know what to say.
So I can tell you as a senior enlisted leader of a unit, if that happens, I'm going to be very nice to you. I'm going to be very nice to you because it is nice to meet you, mom, dad, whoever it is. But now I've got concerns about the person, the airman. I have some, got it. Your airman's been away from you for, anywhere from, the shortest tech school is probably 3 weeks.
6 weeks.
6 weeks. Okay, so we'll just call it, 4 months they've been away. You want to see them. I got it. You then stay at the hotel or stay at the Airbnb or wherever you're staying, and allow them to come to work on their first day or their first week on their own. But then, on that Friday or whatever it is at the end of the week, I'm like, hey, they're excited to show you their workplace. Got it. That's different. Let me show you where I work is different than I'm going to accompany you on your first day of work. That's very different. Don't do that.
It's weird. I don't know.
I didn't know that. Like, who told you that? I won't say her name, but you know. She was telling you about this.
Yeah. So it's pretty solid data.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. She gets all the data. She like this person that we're talking about, and we're just keeping her name out of this, but like she's kind of the oracle, if you will, of anything and everything, recruiting but really
Everything.
people. So it had to have happened more than once.
Yeah.
Had to have.
Yeah. So, I mean, and this is a pretty specific complaint or whatever, but I mean, yeah, if you show up like that to your first day of work, I'm going to be like, has this kid ever paid a bill? This person, this adult ever paid a bill in their life? If I give them a government travel card, is that a good idea? Can I give this person responsibility right away? You know, like, not to mention their peers, which they're never going to hear the end of it. At least I would never let anybody hear the end of it, ever. People don't forget, and you're just not doing that airman, lieutenant, whoever it is, any favors.
No, you're not. Yeah. And if you don't know what a government travel card is, basically a credit card that each one of us are issued for travel. And then, the hotel, the flights, the car, all that kind of stuff goes on that credit card, and then it gets paid off by the government. I don't actually agree with it. I don't like the government travel card. I think it's a terrible program. And I can go on record saying that because it's awful. And I think that it's a complete scam, but whatever. Man, where did that come from? Like I said,
It is a little scamish.
That's how much I hate the government travel card. But whatever, it's a system that we have, so we use it.
Well, I mean, it causes lots of. I mean, I've seen it. It's easy to misuse, and then people get in lots of trouble for these people that don't know how to budget their money or show up and are out of control and have all these bills, and then they don't have the communication skills to actually talk to anybody about it. And it's an easy way to get in trouble.
It really is, because all it takes is for you not to be on a trip and use it because because you didn't know how to budget money, because you've got bills that are coming out your ass, and you decided to buy a V6 Mustang at a 25, 26 APR, where you have no business doing, when gas is $5 a gallon right now. Well, actually $5.35, or if you're in LA, it's $8.05 a gallon. Like,
holy crap.
People, yeah, well, yeah, dude, it's $5.35 right down the road here. But yeah, the government travel card, whatever, terrible program. But again, it goes back to that responsibility, because they can get in trouble misusing it. And when I say misuse, I don't mean like being unresponsible and just going out and buying a bunch of stuff on it. I mean, like, there are very strict guidelines on the government travel card. And if you hit an ATM and do a withdrawal at a wrong time, or you use it on something that you're not allowed to use it, you can get in trouble with. That's why it's a bad program. And one of the reasons it's a bad program, but it's what we have and what we use. So, yeah.
Yeah, but when it comes to that responsibility,
right.
like, understand when a person shows up, like at the 2-2, right, a brand new guy, we in process that person. They get a government travel card, which is easy to get in trouble with. They're going to get a whole pile of gear, like a pile of gear. Then they're going to get assigned a cage, and then they're going to get a room on base. And so, like, all these like little things, like being able to organize and clean your room, organize your gear, keep track of everything, manage your money. Like, all of these things are expected to already be in place, because we're not going to be like, oh, well, you just got here, I'm going to wait 6 months before I send you TDY for a train up to deploy you right away if I need that body. Like, if they don't have all these things lined up, it's just a recipe for things to little problems become big problems, that is going to lead to bad outcomes. So like that, the driver's license, the taking care of your own stuff, the being able to handle money and your credit cards and all those other things, they seem like little simple things. It's like, whoa, but I'm signing up to drop bombs and kill people or whatever, or to sneak around and stare at people at night and take pictures, which sounds way more creepy than. But I mean, that's the job.
That should probably be a clip.
But you know what I mean?
Trent
Like,
likes to sneak around and stare at people and take pictures.
Only professionally, okay? So, but like it
no,
sounds
it's
stupid,
true,
but like
though.
I'm not here to raise your kids. I'm not here to teach them all these things. And like that could get them kicked out of the pipeline, you know, like if these things go wrong. If I do a room inspection and the room is a disaster, that's just that you're not making it any easier for these grown adults that are trying to get into this community. Sorry.
Yeah, and when you talk about like room inspections for adults, like this is just it's the way to, because we have a large swath of people, right? You know, you got your 17-year-olds and you got your 30 or 30 plus year olds that are coming in. Do you you know, does a room inspection on a 30 something year old make sense? No, it doesn't. But it's the common denominator that we're looking for. So if they live in a dorm, plus a 30-year-old's probably married anyway, so he's not going to be living in a dorm. At least his first duty station. But like we do try and break, the Air Force does, not us, try and you know, break in or grow airmen, you know, slowly. But at the same time, like how slow can it be? You know? And at the same time, like the Air Force, the way they look at it, and it's not just the Air Force, we do, and the other services, we got to allow them to fail a certain amount of, right? And you as a parent have got to allow your kids to fail. And we were kind of talking about this beforehand with you know, your scenario, but like we try and set the conditions to where failure is not going to be catastrophic. Like there's not going to be permanent damage. There's not going to be permanent whatever, permanent circumstances, if you will, that ruins that person's life or causes permanent physical damage. But so there is that kind of safety net. That's what we try and do. But we also have to allow that person to fail, because then they grow. That kid or that airman grow as they're moving along. And I'll tell you right now, I learn more from my failures, my past failures, than I do my successes. I really do. And I'm sure I'm not the only one.
I mean, I remember every failure, you know, like going back to a long time. But like, it's weird because like I was thinking about this last night. I was rolling around in my head. So obviously I did an Instagram post because I think I'm, you know, some kind of influencer or something. But like, but that was the thing that I came to is your ego will view failure as failure until you prove it otherwise, right? And so like, there's a certain point in your life where you have to stop viewing failure as failure and view it as learning and growth and all those other things. And if you don't have practice in that, you know, practicing the growth mindset as opposed to, you know, everything is catastrophic if something little goes wrong, then you're just going to be like, I am a failure eventually, or this was a failure. And that's not the way to move forward in life. So,
nope.
And then
also, go ahead.
No, I was going to go back to responsibility, bandwidth, nonsense again.
Go for it.
So to me, it's like the same way that we talk about your physical capabilities before you join the pipeline. It's not everything, right? But like just like the whole cleaning your room, taking care of your personal possessions and all those other things, like that just frees up bandwidth for the candidate to absorb training, to take a hit in training and not come back and have their room smashed because they didn't have a clean room. You know what I mean? So like those habits and those little things, they're just increasing your chance of success throughout the pipeline. You know, like you'll get 45 more minutes of sleep that night because you don't have to re-clean your room because the cadre came in and noticed that it was a disaster, so they made more of a disaster. Like that's kind of how it works.
And again, why are cadre flipping mattresses and wrecking rooms? Because we preach, yeah, because they're terrible people, but at the same time, they're also preaching attention to detail, right? So, like everything that we do has in the pipeline has a purpose and an intention behind it. So, as silly as it is, like, hey, we want, and you know, been made fun of because I made that one reel about like, hey, the tape is wrong on your bottle or whatever. But that's just one example. You know, your room has got to be clean. Things have got to be orderly. We do that to provide you an instruction, an intent, and then you need to pay attention to detail. And if you don't, there are consequences to that, because the translation is, there are serious consequences when you don't pay attention to detail when you're on an operation or a training operation. Like, if you're on a hoist in the middle of the North Atlantic and on a training mission, and that cable, you're not paying attention to where that cable is or controlling that cable, or you're dropping bombs, and you get a grid coordinate wrong, 1 or 2 digits incorrect, like, catastrophic things can happen. So that is why we are paying attention to detail is instilled in us. And that's how do we translate that to people that are brand new in the pipeline? By, creating certain scenarios, like keep your room clean, the water bottles all being lined up and taped appropriately or marked appropriately, everybody's gear being symmetrical, because we can't put brand new aspect war recruits into scenarios where, like, hey, you're getting a couple digits wrong on a 9 line. Like, we just can't do that. So we do it in very simpler ways. And guess what? It's very effective because rooms get flipped all the time. Water bottles get kicked all the time. Like, so if you can't do that, if you can't keep those attention to details situated, like, maybe we can't let you progress.
Well,
man, I feel
let me
real
ask you a question
today.
I know we're darn kids.
But
if you're deployed and you're at a fob and you walk into somebody else's room, like we go in each other's rooms and all that other stuff, and the room is a disaster. Like, what are you going to think about that person?
How are they living like this? Like, and how not just how are they living like this, but also, like, how are they going to be operationally? Like, it's just kind of like, is that how your life is? Is that how you operate? You're just kind of scatterbrained. You're all over the place. Like, it's organization, and I'm not talking about like an OCD kind of organization or cleanliness. That's not what I'm talking about, because believe me, you could see what's going to be the office that's upstairs that I don't have set up yet. Like, that's a bomb's hit it, but we just moved. So, like, everything was in boxes, and I just unbox it all and I leave it on the floor and stuff like that until I can sort it. Right. But it's just a certain level of organization. Again, it's not an OCD level. It's just where you walk into somebody's room or somebody's house and you go, oh, okay, cool. Like, you feel at peace.
Yeah, but like, I never really thought about it before, but almost everybody's room that you walk into when you're deployed, or whatever, their tent space or whatever it is, it's not uniform, but, like, at the FOBs, where if you had space for your own rooms or your own space, everybody's got the little rack where they put their body armor. Everybody's got their clean weapon put in a certain position, ready to go. Like, everybody's got their gear kind of like all laid out in the same way in their computer space. But like, if you walk into a room and it's a disaster, and like you're rolling out with that person, you're gonna be like, do you have everything you need? Like, do you even know where your batteries are? Like, it'd just be, you wouldn't have that warm fuzzy. So, these things are important for all these folks are going to be doing in the future. And it's not just our career field either. Like, we're not the only ones that deploy. Obviously, I took care of my kids for a long time by myself because my wife was gone. But like, I FaceTime with her. I see her room. All the stuff that she needs is right there, and they're ready to go. And it's just a responsibility, and being ready for whatever's next.
Yeah, and it's not like she was at a FOB either. She doesn't necessarily have go bag or anything like that where she just grabs it and runs. Like, and yet her room was still organized and clean.
Yeah. So as that level of danger increases, I think that level of responsibility and having things look a certain way and be a certain way, at least I'm going to get a lot more judgy about it, right? So it's you're just helping. Back to the parents, like, you're just helping them out. You're helping them move that ball a little bit further on down the line so that they can be more successful. So because like we said, I'm not going to sit there and have like a lecture with a kid about why it's important to keep their room clean. I'm going to say, keep your room clean. And if I walk in there and it's not clean, I'm going to make it real not clean. Because then I don't have to have that discussion again. And if they don't figure it out, then they don't figure it out. And they're going to be on their way to do something else with their life. And then that's how we do it. It's like we call it training for a reason. It's like training a dog. When a dog doesn't do something you like, you let them know. When a candidate does something that's out of bounds, you let them know. And either they fall in line and figure it out, or they find another line of work.
Yep. No, completely agree. Something else for the parents, and this really is for the parents and the kids, that things in the military happen a lot slower than you think they should. Like, even we recognize that. We know that things happen slower in the military than they should. And on the soft side of the house, things, when compared to the Air Force and the Marines and Navy and Army and stuff like that, on the soft side of the house, things happen pretty quick. But even then, they don't happen as quick as you think that they should, because there's a lot of, I mean, depending on what it is, it could be a multitude of things. But I mean, there's still bureaucracy in the soft world. We are still bound with funding and all that kind of stuff by Congress. Promotions are still bound by Congress and the DoD and that kind of stuff. So, things can take longer than they would on the private sector or at your company that you work at, where a decision can be made like that, and then all of a sudden, whatever, but things just happen slower. It's just think of a big ship out in the ocean. Like, it takes an aircraft carrier a while to turn, whereas, a jet ski, the Air Force is an aircraft carrier. It's huge. It's a monster. And it just takes a little while to turn. That's my best analogy for it.
I already feel a little bit like Top Gun is putting all the focus on the Navy. Should we say something not an aircraft carrier? It's like a C-5. I don't know. Make it Air Forcey. Sometimes when it lands, it breaks. All the time when it lands, it breaks.
Yeah, all the time. But I forget the number. I know the Top Gun helped out the Navy quite a bit when it first came out, but I want to say that it actually helped out the Air Force more, because people think flying, as you should, people think flying and Air Force. I mean, that's really, look at the aircraft we have. I mean, we have, nobody else has A-10s, right?
Damn.
Nobody else has A-10s. Only we do.
What's up, Madman? I mean, it's the greatest air platform that's ever been invented.
Ever.
Maybe the P-51 was incredible. That and the A-10. Those are my birds.
Ooh, the OV-10 too. Bronco.
Oh, yeah. There's some good ones. But like the A-10, just for, personal interaction and the survivability of the aircraft is my jam.
Yeah.
But
you got anything else for parents, or do we transition over to kids now? Let's talk to those
Those
recruits.
kids.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we can talk about the kids. I mean, just general
How
advice.
about this? Make sure you're helping out around the house. Like, it is not your parents' job to do everything around the house, whether it's vacuum, clean the kitchen, do the dishes, sweep, whatever, take the trash out, whatever it is. Like, you need to be helping. You're a contributing member to the household. You should be doing it.
Or not. Yeah.
Or maybe you're not a contributing member. I don't know. But because what the hell? Why does taking out the trash matter? Because when you're at an organization and you see trash, the trash can is filled, you better be taking it out. And that doesn't matter of what kind of tenure you have at the unit or your rank at the unit. Doesn't matter. You see trash that's full, you take it out. Because nobody's coming behind you to clean up after your mess. If you just got done washing your hands, you paper towel, you throw it and it doesn't go into the trash can, you better be picking it up and putting it in the trash can instead of like, oh, it fell on the floor. somebody else come pick that up.
Ben,
You shitting me right now?
I want to make one of those memes that says no one is coming, but like underneath put like to take out the trash. No.
Real serious, real tactical. No one is coming.
Yeah. To take out the trash behind you.
I don't know, man. I hate that. You see the trash can as a mountain and it's overflowing, or somebody, washes their hands, dries them off, and then just, and they can see that it didn't go in the trash can, but they just leave it because I'm coming behind them to clean it up.
Yeah, my boy's still at an age where, he says, I need to go potty. We go to the bathroom at the same time. You know what I mean? And he knows if it doesn't go in the trash can, like, he's picking it up and putting it back in there because I'm going to be like, bro, nah, bro. And it seems like such a little thing, and it doesn't seem like it's an unusual thing, because I was taught don't jack up the house or your world or whatever, wherever the trash is. Like, you don't just throw your stuff out the car window. But those are the types of things I think that stick with you, and being a contributing member of your house. And maybe I know it's hard for some kids to like gain that perspective of their household while they're still there. But it becomes real clear once you move out that, you probably should have done more for your parents. Like, you don't really understand everything that they do for you until you're out. So, do something to help gain that perspective. Look around, understand that your parents are just two people that are older than you, that are paying all the bills and getting all this stuff done, and that they had to learn the exact same way that you had to learn. So, if you can help them out, it'd be pretty awesome. And it's only going to help you in the long run, the whole like altruism thing that I talk about, where nothing is for somebody else. It benefits other people, but do it for yourself. Do it for yourself. Be a responsible person, and then reap the rewards.
And ask if you don't see anything, like if you're kind of looking around and you're like, man, I'm bored, or like I'm not, my parents are working. Yeah, working around the house, like doing stuff. If you can't visibly see something like, ooh, I could do that, just ask, hey, what can I help out with? And, there's probably something they'll be like, yeah, okay, go knock this out. That would help out. It's just, there is. Going back to the trash thing, does your little one like love to pick up trash out in the parking lot as you're walking into a place?
Sometimes, like
out of curiosity, not like, hey, I'm picking it up to put it away, but just kind of like, oh, look at that, a straw.
Yeah, I'm always like, so like it's that balance thing where it's like, hey, we pick up trash, but not here. Don't touch that. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know where we're at. They're like, there's a penny on the ground. I'm like, this is a casino. Don't pick it up. You don't know where it's been.
Yeah, I do have a rule though. Like if you pick up the trash, like as in like, oh, look at that, a penny or a straw or whatever it is, that if you pick it up, you don't just throw it back on the ground.
No,
you throw it in the trash. If you're going to take the time to pick it up, you're going to go throw it in the trash. And then we're going to go to a bathroom and you're going to wash your hands. But, my son's 11 now, so he doesn't really do that now. But, he did back in the day because they see stuff in there. They just, ooh.
Check this out. Dad, check. They want to like make stuff out of it and all that other stuff. It's cool, but kids are fun.
Yeah. Also, don't get fooled. I wrote this down because I was like, this is, don't get fooled by buying stuff that is military grade.
Oh my God.
This is military grade, because if you didn't know, military grade is not better than normal stuff. Now, maybe there are occasions it is, but when we peek behind the curtain, when military will go with the lowest bidder generally, like because they kind of have to by law. There's some intricacies in it, but military is supposed to be good stewards with the taxpayers' money, which means generally they go with the lowest bidder. So military grade means that it just met the minimums to be good enough for us. So,
and for a large population, right? Like
right.
the boots that maintainers wear might be really good for maintainers or whatever. They're probably not, but whatever. They're not going to work so well in the mountains of Afghanistan or running through the streets of Ramadi.
No, No, so don't get fooled by paying for military grade stuff, because though it may be good, that moniker is kind of deceiving, if you will.
Yeah, yeah, it's
that was
pretty
really
low.
random, I know.
I mean, there's some places where I think we were rolling with the Colt M4s for a long time, and Colt makes decent M4s, but none of us wore issued boots. I'm like the first pair of boots that I ever deployed with were the Oakleys. It was Oakleys and a Solos. Remember those?
Dude, those are great.
The best thing about the Oakleys is they basically float. Like for pool work, those boots were money.
Yeah, I never wore I wore the Oakleys down, like operating. I never wore them in the pool, but I wore Vasks, A Solos, and then the Oakleys
and Solomon's. Yeah, but that's just one of those examples. But you're right. It's military grade is weird, and like we don't even think about some of the stuff that we get issued. It was funny because I was in an office the other day, and someone asked me, they're like, "There's a senior airman." She goes, "Are you special forces?" I go, "Well, I'm special operations." She was like, "Well, your uniform, like I noticed your beret because I looked at your uniform and it's different." You know, I was like wearing Cries or whatever that I was issued. And I'm just like, okay, like I don't notice that your uniform is different than mine, but like that's one of those like accidental elitist things in my brain where uniforms just don't matter that much to me. But other people noticed. But we have even our uniform that I wear to work is a little bit different than what everybody else wears.
Yep. It is. And you're right. I don't notice it either, but people definitely notice.
Yeah, it's weird.
They definitely notice. But I don't know what that's all about.
Yeah.
We are the state of parents.
We are issuing our folks in the prep course. They're getting Solomon boots now. I don't think I got that update until recently when I was over there. But they're not getting the Loas anymore. They switched over to the Solomons.
Really? I like the Solomons. They're like running shoes.
Oh, they're so great. And here's the thing: it's like we're over here being like, parents, don't spoil your kids, kind of thing. And then they're going to go to prep, and we're going to give them these brand new top of the line boots. This is what you're starting off with, and it's like, man, like I get that it's like better for like not getting injured, but you kind of want to just run through and hit everybody in the shins and make sure that they feel it.
Yeah. So there was definitely discussion, about are we setting them up for failure by spoiling them so much at the beginning, which I think we were for a little while, but I think we've course corrected that now.
Yeah.
I don't like having gone there and visited with you back in January. I don't necessarily think that we're doing that now.
No,
I could be wrong though.
No, it's just one of those things. It's like as a parent, I look at the stuff that my kids have, and then when my kids turn 16 and they're probably going to end up with a car that I'm going to help them a great deal, if not just give them, then I'll look back and be like, well, like I had like a 1992 Nissan NX, which they don't even make anymore, a little 4-cylinder. You could barely, like what you get is so much better than what I had. And it's just like, It's easy to look at these new folks and be like, I can't believe you're getting Solomon boots, like in the prep course before you even have a funny hat. Like I didn't get anything cool until way later. But it is what it is.
Yeah. So as a parent or whatever, it is different because you do want you want your kids and your airmen or whatever to have a better life than you did. So it's tough. So that maybe there's a middle ground. Like I kind of do what for my daughter and my son when we buy a car, like it's going to be a kind of a 401 match plan. As if they show up with $2,000, I'll show up with $2,000 so they can get a $4,000 car or whatever, right? But I guess just because I feel like I've got to help them out a little bit. But saying that, I paid for my first car all by myself, So like, am I being a hypocrite by even recording this, 50 something minute podcast? Yeah, I probably am being a hypocrite, but I don't know. I'm not perfect.
But you can. Yeah, I think we started off with parenting is hard, and then this is where we're at. But like, it's just a different generation. But understand that making the road too soft for your kids, or doing stuff for them that's unnecessary, as they transition to adulthood, you're not doing them any favors, especially if they're watching this podcast or you're listening to this podcast and they're thinking about these career fields. I think it's pretty specific advice for, giving them the best chance possible. And that's really what it is. It's not that you don't love your kids anymore or whatever, but like if you walk into their room and it's a disaster and they're 17 or 18 years old, maybe it's time to stop paying their insurance and take their car away or smash their phone or whatever it takes to get that message through them so that they can be successful sooner rather than later.
Yeah. You reminded me of something. No, I'm not going to say it on this just in case, because I will get judged, or some folks will end up coming to my house. Some CPS, Child Protective Service, or something like that. I'll end up coming to my house. So I'm not going to self-incriminate. I will say, to try and prove a point, I have smashed something. Like completely mentally under control. Like I go in and I know go in and going like, and I even told my wife beforehand, I'm like, hey, this is happening right now. I'm going to go in there and smash it. And even she's like, is that really needed? And I'm like, I need to send a message. And I'll tell you what, it worked. It hurt. It hurt my knee because I did the, when I smashed it, but it worked. But again, it's not like I lost control and I'm going in there in a rage. Just so you know, I'm going in there.
Jared drinks too much. He comes home drunk and beats his kids. That's what I heard.
Yeah. No, I was very deliberate about it. I told my wife, hey, I'm going in there. I'm going to do this, and but it worked.
We need to start another podcast, and it should be about normalizing parenting in reality. What actually happens versus what everybody says they do. Like, I would never do that to my kid. It's like, well, really?
Oh, yeah?
Like, I don't know.
How's your kid acting right now then?
Yeah. I can tell those parents for them. Granted, there's kids that just come out like the good son, Macaulay Culkin type or whatever, that are just terrible no matter what. But it's pretty obvious when your kid shows up to T-ball practice that you've never taken anything away from that kid in their life. That's as far as I'm going to go with. No, you're right. I need to stop.
Yeah,
Sorry.
That's what I'm saying. Like, let's go ahead and cut this now, because if not, we're going to start ranting and we're going to absolutely self-incriminate, and then CPS is going to come up to both of our houses, and then Aaron's got to do the podcast all by himself, which he could. Aaron. He could totally do a podcast all by himself, Bill Burr style.
Yeah, but no one would be there to make fun of his fake hair, so it wouldn't be as good. It's really all I bring to the podcast.
All right, well, you got it, man. Close it up.
All right, to wrap it up, responsibility creates bandwidth for success. I think that's what we're talking about. Get your kids responsible, knock out some of the things that are going to make them successful, let them fail, and let them move towards that growth mindset where they recognize failure as growth as opposed to failure being failure. Because if they never fail at anything, then they're not going to know how to handle it. So I think we did a good job here. If we ranted, cool. Go leave a review, leave us 1 star, say we beat our kids, whatever, it's cool. And we'll catch y'all later. Train hard.